What's up guys, Luke the Welder here, and today we've got a really fun project. I got a call from a client that just bought a new trailer and he's got some new stuff he wants us to mount to it. The first of those items being a winch plate. This winch plate allows for different models and brands of winches to be mounted to it. The second item is this tongue mounted toolbox. This will go at the front of the trailer. The third item is this 12,000 pound Apex winch. All three of these items are going to mount at the very front of the trailer, otherwise known as the tongue. And I almost forgot, he also brought me some brand new safety chains to put on to replace the existing ones. These chains can handle 7,100 pounds of tongue weight in an emergency. Here's where the safety chains are. And side by side, you can tell the new ones are thicker. And I think I'm going to mount the new ones somewhere around here. Now we need to start looking over the tongue a little bit thoroughly. And then we need to start planning where we're going to mount the toolbox and the winch plate. So I start planning where I'm going to put that winch, and it's going to be somewhere in this area, but I notice I have two posts that are welded in my way. But fear not, I have a plan. I think what we're going to do is take this post and get it out of there. I think we'll put that winch plate right here with the winch, and then we're going to put the toolbox right here. Now that we got our plan, let's take a look at those two square tubes and see where the welds are. The first weld that I looked at, I noticed was barely hanging on. The rest of the welds seemed like they were okay. I think they just had a little bit of a rough start on this one. We need to make sure that we remember not to weld the winch plate on top of this angle iron right here, because this needs to be removable so that he can change the wood down the road. All right, let's bring this trailer inside and get to work cutting. We got a lot of work to do. Now that we got those posts out of the way, I'm going to start fitting up where this winch plate's going to go. While at the same time, my brother Justin is cutting off those chain brackets we talked about earlier to maximize efficiency. it uses, I believe, are these four. So we just need to make sure that, go back a little bit further. Go back. It's gonna be like that. So about halfway, about a quarter of the way in, right about there. So what we'll do is we'll mount it like that, right? We'll have to grind the entire front of this, tack it, probably grind all the way around the edge, because this plate's gonna want to go like that. So as it does that, we want that support underneath. See what I'm saying? Well, let's mark it out. We're going to cut this angle iron up and make supports for our winch plate. I was actually thinking maybe we bring it out right here. Get more weld penetration in there. You know what I'm saying? this stage, we realized that this top bar is actually in our way for being able to put the winch on top of the winch plate. So we ended up having to cut it off so that we could mount the winch and cut new square tubes that are a little bit taller for the corners and to replace those original 2 posts that we cut off in the beginning. That way this horizontal angle iron will sit just a little bit above the winch, and the winch will fit.
Ain't going nowhere. That's the classic trailer thing to say.
Yeah.
I'm talking with 14,000 pounds, so let's see.
All right, we got the chains welded out. We put 3 passes all the way around on both chains on each side. Here's the completed winch plate bracket. It's all welded out and spray painted, and I think it turned out really nicely. But you guys let me know in the comments what you think. Here are the 4 bolts where we mounted the winch on top of the winch plate. And unfortunately, due to technical difficulties with my phone, I was not able to record us putting on the new horizontal piece. But it looks really good. It fits well. There's plenty of space for the winch and plenty of space for him to strap some stuff down across that bracket. If you guys like this kind of content, make sure you become a subscriber. And if you want to support the channel, the best way you can do so is by watching all my videos. Now that that's done, we have one last step, the toolbox. And it would be just my luck that my phone died right at this exact moment. Awesome. But I had to stay productive, so while I charged my phone, I installed the toolbox, but I'm going to show you the inside so you can at least see how I mounted it. This toolbox has a really nice latch right at the front. You just pull the latch and the door goes up. We only use 2 bolts right through the center support with locking nuts underneath so they don't vibrate their way off as you drive down the road. All right, this job is completed and we're ready to go home. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you on the next project. Luke the Welder, out.